everybody. Welcome to Ms.Interpretations. My name is Marin, and today we have AJ with us from Ways to Human. AJ, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Oh, no, I can't hear you. I accidentally, oh, no, you muted you.
Yeah, no, I muted myself on the intro because I was like, I gotta be super quiet. My bad. I'm super excited to be here.
I was like, I'm still learning how to do all of this. So yeah, that is good. It's good. It's like, cool. Well, yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Yeah. So let me introduce a little bit of what we're going to talk about. I'm trying to figure out this place here. All right, I feel like camera's going straight up. All right, I'm not a professional yet, but if you want to try and help me become a professional.
None of us start as a professional, so
right. But we're both really close, though, like to getting the getting 500 subscribers, right?
I know we are like a few numbers away from each other, so
that's very exciting. Okay, I'm still learning how to do stuff. So there's comments. Okay, yay! Hi. Oh, hey, Kelly. Yay. Yeah. So share this out, and maybe more people will find both of us. So that would be awesome. Okay. So yeah, I saw Apologia cover this video, and I don't know if it was today or it was this week. And so I have never heard of this person, but he has 13 point something million followers. I'm going to put him up here. Wow. This is Steven Bartlett, and he's got like the biggest podcast in the UK. And it's The Diary of a CEO. So, oh, well, Kelly, you're not going to be far behind. She's going to catch up with the subscribers. Anyway, so this felt, let's see what is it? Does it say on here? Oh, now I got to go back and find him. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
it says how many. He's got like 13 something million followers or something like that. It's kind of crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen him before. Some of his stuff, but I don't think it was on his own channel. I think I've seen him like do interviews on other places.
Okay. Well, he's a bright young man. He's in his 20s, but I just thought that was kind of cool. But the video, the interview that he's doing, it's like, you're probably not old enough to remember Charlie Rose, but it's like a Charlie Rose kind of setup with all the black. So Kelly follows him. Anyway, black background, but he's got three people on: Alex O'Connor, Greg Koukl, I think is how you pronounce his name, and Dr. K. And Dr. K is a Harvard psychiatrist. Well, he did residency there, I think, and practiced at Harvard. But anyway, before he did that, he went to a Buddhist monastery for like 7 years because he failed out of college. And anyway, but he's really bright. He's young as well. Not jealous at all. I just keep saying how young these they're done with their lives. It's
younger than us.
Everybody is different. Everybody has a different life experience, right? So anyway, but it's really kind of fascinating because it's kind of like a Christian, an atheist, and a Buddhist walk into a recording studio.
Into a room.
And and they have this talk. So it's cuneiform guy. Hello. So let me see what the name of it again is. It's Atheist versus Christian versus Spiritual Thinker. Is not believing in God causing more harm than good? That's the question. So cuneiform God is not. I'm not okay. It's confusing to me too. So there you go. Anyway, and they the main part of it. Now this is over 3 hour interview of these guys. So we're not going to cover
Do the whole.
that. But the clips that I've got are about, like, if you have a purpose in life, if you don't feel like you have a purpose, or you don't feel like you're following your purpose, or do you spend decades trying to figure out what your purpose is, which I feel like that is more describing me, and making meaning. And it's kind of interesting, just to see them have a part of this discussion. So I highly recommend going to see all of it. And I think I forgot to put the link in the description, but I will add that in case my ADHD gets the better of me. So I'll try to remember to put the link in there. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I guess we could go ahead and get started. And I've got a little breaker in my clips here so that we can stop and talk about it. So did you take a look at this at all?
No, I opened it and I went to like like the little description things, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I didn't watch any of it.
Cool. Yeah, it's really kind of fascinating conversation. So but let's just watch a little of it and chat, and hopefully I don't get taken down by like showing such a big
I know
a big interview. So I tried to clip it into small things. So we'll cover it. So here's the first little bit. Oops, there we go. I don't know what I'm doing. I did it again. Okay, I just have to click once, right?
Actually, food.
Oh, there you go.
The evolutionary biologist says the reason that we develop hunger is because those who didn't died. And if you don't have some sense of hunger, you're not going to seek out food and you will die. And so it just so happens that those who develop this feeling of hunger will be more likely to survive, and therefore hunger is a part of our human condition.
Okay, that's my little interstitial there. I didn't have time to put music to it, but he's kind of cute. Okay, so we'll come back here. And was it too quiet? Y'all let me know.
I could hear it personally.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Let me know, chat, if I need to turn me and AJ down so that y'all can turn your volume up some. So anyway, okay. So that was just the very beginning. I was a little distracted making sure things were working, but this is basically the introduction to like the anthropological it was pretty quiet. Okay, let me turn us down, and that way you guys can turn up your own volume.
Okay.
And
that would be fair.
All right. So let me know on the next one. I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit. Okay. The anthropological evolutionary point of view of we have like certain needs, right? And food being one of them. And those who have an innate desire for food and get hungry tend to survive because they're going to look for food, right?
Fuel their body, right?
Yeah, right. And so if they go and look for food and they go and get food, then they continue to live, and that is good. So that's just that idea. And the following conversation and this watch the whole thing, and the whole thing and kind of where I am right now in my own thinking about human needs and how we address them, how we try to fill our own needs that are conscious or subconscious, right? I think it's very easy for us, especially in our modern world, to forget that we are actually animals, right? We're primates, and we are connected, to all the other living things on the planet, and so I think that a lot of us, me included, have railed against those needs, right? And if you look at specific religious practices, trying to really suppress a lot of those, right? And then things come up in different ways. So
Yeah, earlier today I had a conversation with someone on my comments section when I asked a question about how purity culture had affected, um, people that were responding to it, right? And so the conversation came up of sexual needs and being a virgin until marriage, for example. And I think that's a very religious based idea. Even if people are not religious, it's so ingrained into society that a lot of people follow it without realizing that it is a religious belief. And that suppresses the needs, because humans are majorly sexual beings. You do also have asexual people who
Right.
have different needs, what you were just mentioning, right? Like people have needs, but they don't necessarily always have to be universal. Hunger, thirst are absolutely universal needs that we all have to meet in order to stay alive. But there are people who have sexual needs that it helps them release stress, for example, right?
Right.
And there is people, as I said, who are asexual, who have other types of needs, like intellectual connection, for example.
Right.
Like I really enjoy having conversations much more than I enjoy the physical aspect of relationships.
Right.
I'm one of the weird ones, of course. But there are people
We're all
out there.
different. It's not
Yeah,
weird.
exactly.
It's just different. Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate that society suppresses those people's individual needs in order to meet um, a, a, a societal norm, that has been placed there, obviously by
Right.
religion.
Right.
But because asexual people also are oppressed in the sense that everybody's like, well, when are you going to have kids? Well, if you don't have sex, how are you going to reproduce? Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't need to. You don't have an obligation to reproduce. You don't have an obligation to have sex with your partner. Even if you both have different needs, even if you married, or let's say you went into marriage a virgin and you didn't realize that you are asexual and that your partner is highly sexual. And now you're going to be met with completely different needs, and you have to learn how to compromise them. Like you can't necessarily meet both of them.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the benefits of sex before marriage, that you know what you're getting into.
Right. That's true. That's true. And I agree, forging thought. It's what your needs are, what you want, but our sexual mores are so they're so handed down, or it's such a overarching type of theme. And like you're saying, in whichever religious culture you happen to be in, um, that's what your society happens to be like. But like learning later that there's all different kinds of cultures and people work in different ways, and that when you were talking about that to me, it makes me think of like not just Christianity, but a lot of major religions about controlling sex, right? And that being a societal
Norm, I guess.
no, well, it's being in a way a need for that particular structure of that particular society, right? In order to keep it stable and to control reproduction, right? In order for that society to survive, but it gets couched in religious terms to make it even a stronger type of oh shucks a duck. I think I just realized, hold on a second, I'm on Wi-Fi and I'm supposed to be plugged in. So I'm going to check. I'm going to turn this real quick and see, make sure I'm still on. Am I still going?
Of course. I think
Everything
so.
good. Okay, good. I just didn't know if it might be laggy for other people. When you were saying it was laggy, I was like, oh, wait, I forgot. Okay. You were going to say something about that. I was just like making it a big cultural picture.
Yeah, like one good example would be the way that the Christian nationalists are pushing away immigrants, right? They don't want people who are different. And at the same time, they're pushing for Christians to have more children, for women to stay at home and reproduce and reproduce and reproduce and make more Christians.
Yeah.
And that's the societal survival thing that you just mentioned. In a way, Christians are trying to make sure that Christianity doesn't die. It is a survival skill of any society. Unfortunately, we are all very tribal, and
Hmm.
Christianity has no exception from that.
Right. Right. I mean, that and Clemson fans. Do you know Clemson University? Okay. Well, it's like, it's fun, but it's like, woo, this is definitely a tribe. But yeah, I mean, it's so much in our genes, I think. So, anyway, I mean, yeah, you
So
gotta know
yeah, that
you gotta know what you're getting into, right?
right. Okay, what fortune thoughts you said about buying a car without test driving it? That was one of the comments that somebody made in that post that I showed. Like you wouldn't um turn 16 and go buy a car that you've never test driven, you've never practiced driving before. You just go and do that. Like you're
Yeah.
going to run into a lot of danger. You're going to be putting not just your life in danger, but somebody else's life in danger. I know it's a little bit extreme in comparison to sex, but there are real dangers in not knowing your sexuality, not understanding sexual ethics, not understanding consent. And purity culture
Yes.
leads to rape culture, where men are made to believe that they have to protect themselves from the temptation of women. And
Hmm.
that's really unfortunate because it puts the pressure on women
Yeah.
to not be that temptation, right,
Right.
for men. And that leads to, again, to the dangers of, okay, a man is alone with a woman in a room, and she is dressed in showing a lot of skin, and the man feels like, well, she's tempting me, and I did this to her if he abuses her because she
Yeah.
was tempting me. Like there
Right.
is no self-control, there's no teaching of autonomy, for both of them, of consent for both of them. I would say the
Right.
same thing for women. Like women need to ask for consent from men, because it
Yeah.
does happen. It does
Yeah.
happen that men, sometimes, I don't know,
Yeah.
somebody gets very intoxicated and the woman is not, and then she takes advantage of it.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. It's just yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a danger of beauty culture.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is. Well, let's move on and see what the crux of the first thing is here.
The dancing.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's going to dance, but he's kind of cute. And yeah, I did look
Why?
at
But
some.
I just have this drive towards building a
Mhm.
society and engaging in legal justice and moral systems and kind of, they're just more likely to survive. So we end up with this sense, this drive within us that we can't explain, and yet we have. So imagine for the majority of our evolutionary history what it was like. Every single day you woke up.
Okay, before he gets into this, I just want to say really quickly that I did kind of cut a lot of that, but because it took a second for it to go. But he was saying, if there is just like people who are hungry and people who are not hungry, the ones who are hungry are probably going to do more to survive and then survive, and that societies, if there's societies like, well, we just don't care about continuing on, and if it's an attitude of not continuing in this society, then that society might not survive, while the others are like, yeah, we got to find a meaning, we got a purpose to live, we're going to continue on and have a legacy and that kind of thing. So he was comparing those genetic needs to, and you might have seen that in at the bottom, the mimetic, the meme type, the ideas of that are propagated, like purity culture might be an idea that is propagated in a culture. So anyway, so now he's going to talk about a problem with modern society, which I think is very fascinating. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it play a little more.
And you did not know if you were going to have a roof over your head. You didn't know if you were going to have food to eat. You had to go out and you had to hunt it. You had to go and find it every single day. The game reset. And so I would imagine that those lives were probably quite meaningful, at least in the sense that I don't think there will have been many existential crises on a day-to-day, because the purpose was quite clear.
So the idea here is that that surviving, right, on a day-to-day basis is what can give people meaning, right? If that is what they, it's the struggle, it's the yeah. Alex versus you.
Alex
Amber,
versus
I love
Eva.
you.
Love
That's
that.
awesome. Okay, but so they had been talking about gambling before this, but just go watch the whole thing. But the little point that he's making here is that that because they're talking about meaning, how do you find your life's purpose? How do you find meaning? And so Alex is coming at this question from the beginning in anthropological point of view, and that and then then he's going to go into what about modern society. And I feel like maybe we should just let his.
Well, I feel like even in modern society today, unfortunately, with the SNAP benefits being cut, there's a lot of people that are gonna go in survival mode, unfortunately, and they're going to need a way to find their next meal.
Mhm.
It's sad, but it is true. But it shouldn't be the purpose of life to go out and seek food. But
Right,
yeah,
right. And that's the only, yeah. And that is the only thing. And I find too that, we're talking about the intellectual parts of the relationship, right? And talking with folks that you don't have the luxury to do that if you're worried about where your next meal is coming from, right? You don't have time to think about, like, what is my purpose on earth when you're just hungry all the time, right? So I think that is something else. But modern society is different in a lot of ways for a lot of people. And yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk a lot about that, Amber. I'm going to talk a lot about that. Okay, so let me let it play just a little bit more, and then we'll see what Alex's thing is. And I don't know how long the doggy video is, but he's a cutie pie, and we're going to see him again. So this is just it's Halloween week. That's what we're doing.
So what do people do in the modern situation when they find that their life is a bit meaningless? They start intentionally doing things which are difficult. They start doing ice baths. They start exercising. They start going into a room just to physically exert themselves in order to sort of build muscle and whatnot, like on purpose, for its own sake.
I don't know about you, but I rarely do that.
I have an exercise machine right in front of me, and it hardly gets used once a month.
Yeah. And I keep thinking, oh, I'm going to go for a walk, and now it's cold here, so yeah.
I know. Ice baths, no thanks.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That is a different type of person on the planet than me. I'm just going to say, and I'm not going to say weird, but they challenge themselves. I challenge myself in other ways. Yeah. So, but there's another, isn't he cute? He's already bitten that up a lot, but
he's trying to chew that up.
I think that there's a reason why they have a psychological impact. It's not as simple as just like, oh, well, if you go to the gym, it releases endorphins and makes you feel good.
Oh, I put too many in. Okay.
It's okay. You're going to cut them out because otherwise you get the stripes.
I talked about this as a death-denying pursuit, right? The idea that the things that you engage in here, at least in terms of grand projects like religion and society, are, even if just subconsciously, an exercise in the denial of death. What would that mean? It means that if you encounter other communities, if you encounter other traditions who just by their mere existence threatens the truth of your claims, those traditions subconsciously represent death. They represent nihilism.
Oh yeah, I like that one too. These are pretty cool, aren't they? Happy Halloween. Okay.
It's very Halloween themed.
So the idea, this I thought was huge, and I haven't heard Alex talk about this before, and I love this idea, and I've tried to talk about it some, but yeah, challenging your worldview, right? Coming in contact with people who challenge your worldview can be, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. Right. I mean, it's
It's a threat.
challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a threat, right, to your society, your tribe, right? If there's something different, and what do you think about that? What he said there?
Yeah, I think whenever I've talked to people who I believe to be deconverting, and I can see their process, right? And they've come out of the organized religion, and they're at a point where they still believe in a God or believe in afterlife. And I've asked, why do you think that is? And the answer is usually because it gives them comfort. It gives you, like Alex said, if your view is challenged when you're a believer, it feels like that is so final that you don't want to face that. You don't want to face that.
Right.
And I would say we could overcome that. Okay, what helped me personally? Because as a believer, I did also find comfort in the idea of an afterlife. And so when I came out of religion, I had to find out a different way to see what happens after I die, which I don't think anything happens after you die. But how we see it is what makes a big difference. So as Alex was saying, like purpose back in those historical times, as far as anthropology goes, it was the survival and hunting and gathering for your food. But I think in modern society, our purpose is more created rather than given, even for religious people. Even for religious people, I think they created themselves, right? Even though they think it's given by God, ultimately they find their own purpose. It's not whatever you fall into and you're like, well, God must have given me this purpose. It's something that you actually found yourself. I think that we are so afraid of that simply because life is the only thing we've ever known. We don't know anything other than life, right? Like,
Right.
so we want to stay in this state forever. We don't want to stop having this experience. And for religious people, I think God gives them the purpose of living this life in order to attain eternal life so that they don't have to fear what they don't know, which is non-life. You could call it non-life.
Right.
It really helped me when I watched this video by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, I name him everywhere because I love watching his stuff. His insight is just so good. And he was basically saying that humans don't fear being born, right? Because we don't know, or we don't remember at the very least where we were before you were born. So why should we fear the same state of non-existence that we had previous to this existence? Before conception, we didn't exist. Before we became
we didn't
conscious,
care.
Before we even became conscious in the womb, we didn't really know of anything else. And I mean, science does seem to indicate that that's the same thing that happens after we die. The same sort of type of non-existence that we had before we were born. And so I don't know, I think that's what people seek, that type of meaning and purpose. Like, it's comforting. Like, it's even as an atheist, it can be terrifying to think that we are no longer going to exist one day. And it's still not super easy to come to terms with it, but I have to say that I am okay with it now. I'm okay with not having anything after I die. And
Yeah.
in fact, I think it's what helps me enjoy this life a lot more. Like
Yeah.
I can value the time that I have with people that also value my time,
Yeah.
and knowing that I will one day not exist anymore when I die makes that time for me, at least, one of the most valuable things that I have.
Yeah. And meaningful, right? I mean,
Meaningful, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think it's amazing. It's the perspective uh, of losing the thought of afterlife. At first it doesn't feel to me the way I thought it might feel when I was still a Christian. For people who did not believe in an afterlife, right? It doesn't feel that to me. I actually am quite at peace about it, and it does change my perspective on my everyday, even when my day is going to be a full day of rest. I don't feel like I'm wasting, because that is a good thing to do, right? So it just changes my perspective on that. But I have to agree with Kelly here that, like, one of the things that was hard for me, having a purpose, was one of the hardest things to deal with. And it may be similar for you, but for me as a Christian, I kept was like, what is God's purpose for me? I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I could never get an answer. Like, what is my purpose, right? That's the thing where it can give meaning and purpose to people to have a religion, to have, to know that they are God's child, and that is their, that's why they're here. And there's reasons for things, but for me, I was always like, I don't know, I don't even know. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, and I mean, other than, like I said, the thought of eternal life, I don't I don't think I ever remember myself as a Christian saying, "Hey, this is my life's purpose because God gave it to me." I do see a lot of people saying that, who are
Mhm, mhm.
Christians, who know exactly what their life's purpose is, especially those who do like mission trips and stuff like that. They feel like that's their
Right,
purpose, to
right,
spread the word of God.
right.
Um, but I don't remember ever feeling that way or having found any other purpose, like, I don't know, taking care of animals or
Yeah,
anything like that.
yeah.
um uh, yeah, that's interesting.
I think, coming back to what Alex said about the death denial, to me, like, when he said that, I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but to me, that is like almost loaded language. To me, it's negative language, because I feel like I'm more of the Doctor Who perspective of, look at these humans and how they want to survive. I don't know if you're a Doctor Who fan, but I mean, that is one of the things that he loves, that he that he that he says about humans, and that he loves about them. But anyway, to me, it's like, oh, it's more of a, I want to, it's instead of like, I don't want to die, which I think is a lot of the things that my brain says. So if you've seen me talk about any of this, sometimes, if I have a really strong emotional reaction to something, I have learned that, just I'm able to actually observe it a little bit more now. And I'm like, I'm having a very strong emotional reaction to this. And I'm not necessarily on everybody else, right? But I can tell, like, that this very strong emotional reaction is coming up. So, and I think, why am I being triggered? What is happening here? There is something that's causing my brain to go, you're going to die, get
Danger.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And realizing that that is a mechanism that has helped me in the past in other situations, but in this particular situation, it is an overreaction. And I can just recognize that about myself and go, hey, little brain, it's all right, thank you for being there, don't go away, because I might need you one day, that little part of me that is being triggered. However, you need to take a little back seat, and understand that this is not going to kill you, and it's going to be okay. So
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. Like the amygdala is the part of the brain that's sort of like the alarm system, and so it can get triggered based on. It generally happens based on your own experiences and what has felt most threatening to
Mhm.
your mind before.
Right.
And so we don't quite lose those connections that the brain has made quickly, right? It takes work to either rewire
Exactly.
them or let them weaken enough that they won't release a trigger of neurochemicals at that
Right.
point.
Or as
So
strong one. Hey, Maya. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's taken a lot of, emotional work on
it
my
does.
part. Yeah. Yeah. And recognizing that. So, all right. Well, let's watch on here a little bit because I'll come back to you, Fortune. Okay. Where am I going here?
There we go.
Oh yeah. Here's our little friend.
So what happens in a society that develops the kind of telecommunication technology whereby every single day you open your phone and you are addicted to a process of scrolling through every 7 seconds a new person with new ideas, with different beliefs from all over the world? Do you think that might have something to do with the meaning crisis that we find ourselves in? We're told that what's happened is that people stopped believing in God and now they're all depressed, upset, and nihilistic. That's far too simple.
Far too simple. Is what he said. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like the main. Yeah, here we are over a half hour in, but the main idea that I really wanted to get to was if you're confronted with something that may challenge your world beliefs, then then uh, you know that might be part of that meaning crisis. The other side of that is in that world, that media world, now we've gotten into our own little tribal media areas, right? And we don't see other different points of view. Many people don't. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do fall into that algorithm to where it's only showing them their own biased worldviews.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to make sure that you're exposing yourself to other types of beliefs and other people. Now, I think we do pretty good in this, even though we are atheists and we go on each other's channels and stuff. I think most of us do pretty well in being like, hey, I don't hate on or disown every single theist, right? Like
Right.
some of us have family who are theists, and we
Right.
try to nurture those relationships despite the differences in our basic beliefs or supernatural beliefs. So yeah, I think it's definitely important to continue to do that and not close yourself off to just that worldview that you hold, and to have people that can challenge you and have
Right.
difficult conversations with.
Right, right. And that's kind of where I'm heading in my study right now, things that I'm reading, things that I'm learning about is, I didn't really choose my beliefs in the first place. I was kind of born into them, but then I studied that for a really long time. And then, over the past couple of years studying religion again, and I didn't mean to like not believe it anymore. It's just
It
like, but it
happens.
just kept not making sense to me. And I just couldn't, I just, that I didn't, that is not what I expected ever. And then I went through this whole thing of like, why did I stay in it so long now that I see and understand more about what Christianity is, at least what I think it is, and or is not. And but I think it's such a human need. I think that religion, I mean, we talk about as um, giving comfort, right? I think that it obviously fills a huge human need because most cultures have some type of religious faith, some type of spiritual practice, some type of, you know, um, spiritual worldview, something that is greater than ourselves, something that is above us. So there is something about that, just to me, because there's so many different religions. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to me that Christianity is the correct one,
The
right?
one true. Yeah, I think what people need to remember is that back in those days, in the days of Christianity, when Islam came along, when the Sumerians had their own set of beliefs, um, at this time we had some technologies, but we didn't have the level of technologies that we have today. We didn't have the science to understand so many things. We didn't understand germs, we didn't understand genetics, we didn't understand many diseases, and we didn't understand the universe, the cosmos, how things work. When we looked at we saw
Right.
an
Right.
eclipse,
We
or
couldn't
when we saw
explain. Yes,
stars,
there's so
right?
much we couldn't explain. Yeah.
And so we didn't have the tools to explain these things. So people are reading a text from those times and applying it to modern times, and it's just not fair. It doesn't work that way. Like, we have to think about how in 2000 years things have changed a lot. And but there is also the sort of safety nets that are put into those books to make sure that people don't question it. One
Yeah.
of them is like the very beginning, where it's like, I think it's in Islam, where it says that this is the one true book.
Mm.
And so people read that and they immediately stop questioning. Then later on, both in Christianity and Islam, there are places where it is alluded that you're not to question God,
Right.
that you're not to question the scripture.
Who are you to ask?
That,
Yeah. Who are you to question God? Who are you to? Yeah.
right. And that is where the word faith comes from. You're
Mhm.
supposed to believe without questioning. And so those of us that start questioning are looked at as rebels, because how dare we? How dare we question that? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that becomes somehow, because of the indoctrination, really, for many different religions, that it becomes a challenge to the core of identity in a way, right? Which is
Yeah.
I'm gonna die kind of thing, which is a little bit of what
Yeah, like your
it's
brain
referring
goes
to.
into danger mode. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there. I talked to atheists before, years and
Yeah.
years ago. So yeah. So okay, let me do this. Is right. Yeah. I don't remember that. I didn't go back, did I? Interesting. He's
Maybe,
no, he's
or is that a different one?
I thought I only used him twice, but I used him. I really wish I'd put music
You
to
don't
it.
think it
But
might
oh
have
well.
something to do with the
Let's see.
fundamentally revolutionary change to our society that has been brought about specifically by telecommunication, by the ability
Okay,
to
this is different.
oftentimes unintentionally and non-consensually be confronted with traditions and people from halfway across the world that just remind you every single day, zing, 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 every single day, that your truth is not the only truth, that the transcendence that you've placed your trust in is completely subjective and personal, and that someone over there believes something totally different and seems to be living just the same kind of happy life. That, I think, is why people are struggling so much.
Yeah.
It's not just because they're atheists.
What do you think?
Yeah, that is a really good point. And I think social media and telecommunications in general, being able to have conversations via phone and like with people in completely different countries and cultures has made a really big difference in the way that we perceive the world. And sometimes it can make you doubt whether your truth is really the truth. And
Right.
I don't think or claim to have the truth either. I don't. There's
Right.
so many things I don't know, and I'm okay with that because I really like learning. And so I'm
Yes.
always open to being like, hey, you know what? This thing I think is true may not be.
Yeah.
Let me know how I can correct it.
Yeah.
But I think for some people that don't have that ability to have such an open mind, and to be proven wrong, they see that as a flaw. and they see that
Right.
as a threat to, like you
Right.
said, to their identity, to what they've always believed to be true, to what their parents taught them was the truth.
Yeah.
Let's say with somebody who is religious, for example, you're, because you were born into religion, you don't pick what
Mhm.
religion you are. You can do that later in life.
Right.
People do switch denominations.
But that's hard
They
to do
switch.
too, you know?
Yeah, it is, because you have to lose out of that part
You
of
lose a
yourself.
lot of because you lose so much of your culture if you do change, say from Christianity to Judaism, right? I mean, you have a whole new culture. Even if you're Catholic to evangelical, right?
Right.
It's a very different culture. Yeah.
It's very, very different. And I think that does cause people to have that crisis of finding meaning or finding purpose, because they're doubting. But it
Yeah.
shouldn't be seen as a weakness. I think
Right.
doubting should be seen as the path to learning more. And they're like, hey, I'm not so sure about this.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. The first time I challenged beliefs of people that I knew and really cared about was actually in college. And my attitude from that time till, even before I deconstructed or deconverted really, was, well, God can handle some questions. I think I even said that on one of my first videos because I started this channel still as a believer, and like God can handle some questions, and should be able to handle them. But and that's something else that cuneiform guy said, which is very true. Judaism, you're supposed to challenge God. So
Okay.
unless you're Job, and if you want to learn about that, go watch my video with Kip.
That's funny. I still need to watch that one.
It's good. It's really good. It's long though. Just like these interstitial
I've got a lot
clips.
to say about this. I'll try to keep it compact.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this is Greg
Okay.
Koukl, and this is gonna be he's gonna bring up some of his Christian point of view. Right.
By
Okay.
the way, we are aware of all kinds of different options for us spiritually.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily suggest that none of the options are actually accurate.
Maybe I should let that just go.
I think that's why people experience that. Now, of course, as a matter of truth, you could say, for example, yourself, you could say, yes, I'm constantly confronted by different religious traditions, but I believe that Christianity is true. I think it has the best evidence and whatnot. Statistics we just heard, you would say lots of people, don't feel meaning in their life. And you'd want to offer an explanation for why that's the case. You think their lives are meaningful, right? You think that all of those people who say my life has no meaning, they're wrong. Their lives actually do have meaning.
Is that what you think?
Well, this was the
So he's steel manning it. Okay, I will confess I cut a lot of Greg's talk out because it was a bit rambling, and and Alex's was so focused. I was like, I can just summarize it a little bit, But he was challenging Alex on the naturalistic point of view, and this I didn't want to bring all that up, but and it may come up again later.
Yeah.
But
basically they're saying that people that don't believe in God, which is very typical thing that you hear from apologists, the people who don't believe in God are nihilists and therefore have no meaning to their life. Is that where he was? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, they had some of that conversation about it. Yeah, so, but that's what Alex was trying to steel man his position because he's getting ready to zing him. But he was steel manning Greg's position of, you do think that people have purpose and worth because it's God given. He's
right
trying to do that. So. Aunt Jer, which one was the last one? It might have been the synesthesia video. Actually, it might have been 5 Types of Atheists. My last video that was when I was a Christian, because I think I would have still considered myself a Christian, even though I was learning about atheism then, and that was why my favorite atheists were the kind ones, the polite. Anyway, go watch them. See what you think. Anyway, yeah. So Alex is kind of still manning this position because they're going to be talking about what is the value, right, of having purpose that is in Christianity specifically, but other religions as well.
Gotcha.
So I'll go ahead and
Subject to response, they feel like they don't have
Exactly.
meaning, but they were made for a purpose. If they're not in touch with that meaning and purpose, then they're going to feel bereft
Exactly.
and
So
adrift.
you believe there really is a purpose for their life,
Yeah.
but subjectively they haven't either found it or they don't feel
Correct. Yeah.
it. What I'm doing is I'm off.
I mean, this is my version of jump scares. I'm just gonna say.
Love it.
That
one did catch me off guard. I was like, what is that one?
Wait a minute, what? Yeah. Okay. So he's agreeing with him. But now we're gonna get into a little bit of the meat of it, unless you had a comment about.
No, I mean, he was just basically repeating that even though people don't believe that they have a purpose or meaning to their life, that they were still created to be with that, to have that purpose. So he's still very much using religion as the basis for meaning and purpose, and in anybody's life, even in non-believers.
Yeah. Sorry, I made a big noise. Yeah, I just my own personal experience, because everybody's is very different, but I have so much more purpose and meaning in my life now than I ever did up to this point when I was a believer. I just felt like I was floundering, and a lot of that was I was giving up my in a way self-knowledge, or like that, or denying that my needs were important, or my thoughts, my wants were as important to me, that maybe they shouldn't be, that I just need to, I was giving up my power, basically, in a way. I don't know another way to say it.
No, I get what you're saying. I think, I don't know, for me, when I was a Christian was probably my worst time mentally. I had so much anxiety and depression, and I was dealing with mental health struggles and using intoxicating substances to sort of bring that level down,
to dull all of that.
Yeah, and I was at the same time having that fear of doing things wrong because it was wrong in the eyes of God or Jesus. A lot of shame, a lot of feeling like I struggled with my thoughts a lot. Because to me it felt like God heard my every word in my mind. And whenever I had a negative thought, it was I felt so guilty, so bad. And that's something that I don't do anymore. And to me, it's like a bad thought. It's just a thought. Like I have so many. We have like what is it, like something like 70,000 different individual thoughts in a day, the average person. And
the
so
average person,
like,
I would say, oh man, neurodivergent.
right, we're probably like double.
Yeah, double that.
At least.
Shut up in there.
It depends on how many tabs your brain has opened, right?
always way too many. Always way too many. Oh no. Yeah.
So I would say that as far as that goes, I never found what the meaning or purpose was when I was a Christian. And now, having come into the atheist community and then the humanist community, because there's a difference. Okay, when I first started this journey, I was the typical angry atheist yelling at religion, and it didn't matter whether I was at individual people. But through exposing myself to others and learning more about humanism, and I was like, okay, I'm changing my mind. Like, individual people are not the problem. I don't need to isolate every single person who is religious that is in my life. I need to better understand them, and we can both challenge each other's worldviews, right, respectfully. And I think that has helped me a lot to come to terms with what I think gives my life meaning,
Yeah.
and it's helped me come out of my little shy bubble,
Yeah.
find my voice, find the
Yeah.
people that help uplift my voice rather than try to shut me up or be the person that you were before that was sitting quietly in the corner. I don't want to be that person anymore. And I feel
Right.
like using my voice is one of those meaningful things that I can do now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I mean, we all have different experiences, and I just feel like being able to talk about those can, it's helped me so much when like becoming a part of the community, but just like listening so much to different people's perspectives. It has really helped me. And on that, well, there's so many YouTubers. Why should I do this? But everybody has a different perspective, and it is very helpful. And I, I could say something that other people might not. So, and you as well, with your experience. And
Yeah, and I've been told that I am in a cult. Apparently,
oh, I've
atheists
been
are a
told that
cult.
too. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
and so, but this is said by people that are not actually paying attention to what we do and the type of people that we involve ourselves with. You and I both know very, very well that there's a lot of atheists, even within our own close knit community, that don't think the way that we do. And
Right.
even you and I could probably find things that we don't agree on, right? If we had
Maybe.
the
I don't know.
conversations, yeah, right? I'm sure we will at some point.
Yeah.
Um, but so it's like, we are not all the same. Just because we don't find enough evidence to believe that there is a God or any God doesn't mean that we all have the same values, the same morals, the same upbringing, the same experiences, the same
Yeah.
traumas that have shaped us into who we are today. And we all see things so differently.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even done shows with Tim Whitaker, who is an ex-evangelical, but he's still a
Mhm.
Christian,
Yeah.
and super awesome conversation. I would love to have him back on.
Yeah.
We found tons of things we had in common. We talk about Christian nationalism, right? We
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
mental health,
Yeah.
and it's like I hate when people are like, you're in a bubble and you're in a cult and you can't see outside of your own perspective. And yeah, anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but
No, yeah.
that's what.
Well, I mean, the thing is that as losing that faith again, you lose your culture, right? And we are societal beings, right? I mean, we are dependent on society as humans. That is the kind of animal we are. We are social animals, right? And
Tribal.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, tribal, exactly. And losing the community is the I'm gonna die kind of feeling, right? It can do that. So the fact that, but it has been hard for non-believers to find some community, because it's not the same, right? It's not for the same reasons, but I think that seems to be a trend that I'm seeing, people talking more and more about building that community, because it is really important. We're social animals, and we need that support. But like, if I had left, the community that we all the chats and things that I participate in, people would miss me, but they're not gonna, like, try to recruit me back. Do you know what I mean? It's not the yeah, it's not. What it was making me think of when you were talking was the difference between public high school and Montessori high school. My daughter went to Montessori school, and and my own experience, like, for public high school, there's just like so many different little cliques, right? And that it's so stressful.
Very
But
divisive.
yeah, but in our Montessori school, like everybody was different, and it was small, but it was more like real life because, the same students went through school together for, however, Meg went there 5 years, but and had a pretty small group. And so it's more like family kind of thing where you learn how to get along with people. But it was a wonderful experience in learning how to accept people for who they are and everybody be a part of the group. That wasn't like, it wasn't big enough, I guess, to be cliquish. But anyway, that's what I was thinking of with, but that's fascinating. I probably didn't have the best response though, too, when someone thought that I was in a cult, because I was like, oh, well, please tell me how, because I don't want to be in a cult again. And they were like,
I know.
what cult? And I'm like, well, Christianity. Yeah, that was kind of mean of me, I think. So sorry for that. But okay, going back.
Okay.
Offering a psychological explanation
Exactly.
for why they don't feel it, which is completely insensitive
Meaning.
to whether or not there's a truth of the matter.
I'm
right?
so glad you put it that way, because this is exactly my point. I don't want anybody to miss it. We're really offering two different pictures of reality here, okay? People have to ask themselves two questions, I think. One is they reflect on their own personal awareness of the need for meaning and significance. Does it seem to them that this is just a psychological thing that people can satisfy in all kinds of different ways depending on the individual? Or does it seem to them, I'm asking these questions because I suspect there is a truth about life that might be discovered, okay? That's the first question.
Yeah, there could be.
I was like, wait, I know I put something here. Isn't that cute?
Kitty. Black kitties.
So that's kind of the God-shaped hole, right? Right, you've heard about that, like the reason that we're seeking meaning, seeking, something greater than ourselves is because that is a desire that's been bestowed upon us by God. You heard that?
And I mean, I think, I did, and I think whether you're religious or not, you can create your own meaning to your life by the decisions that you make and choices that you make, right? And we always have to remember that every day that passes, every day that we are alive, we are one day closer to not being alive. And it might sound scary. It might sound scary, right? Whenever that might be, we don't know when that is. But for me, the fact of knowing that means that the meaning of my life is to savor it, to enjoy it, right? To make the best of what time we have here, of the people that we have here. We can set goals. We can wonder about things. We can learn about those things that we wonder about. We can be curious about, hey, I just learned this. Is there more to it? I don't know. Travel, see places, meet new people, different people that might
make other people's lives better as best you can,
Yeah, exactly. Do little things that can make both your own life and somebody else's life better. No, not for any type of return, not for like, hey, I'm gonna go to the afterlife if I do this. Just because it makes the world a better place. I don't know. I would like to leave the world a little bit better after that.
Right. And I think that is this is something, Forging Thought, that I was thinking about too, just even before I deconverted, like when I struggled with the different religions struggling with each other, right? And what was sacred. I don't know if I released the sacred and profane video, but I did a video about what's profane to me might be sacred to you, what's sacred to you might be profane to me, right? And that having that kind of conflict. But it's like, dang, we're human. Like, think of people, and would this hurt you? Then Don't do that to other people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I call my channel Ways to Human. Because I was like, what do I want to do? Like, what is the purpose, right? The purpose of what I want to say. It was around the time where I was feeling more comfortable with hearing my own voice, which is not an easy thing to do when you've never heard your voice very well. As a deaf person, getting my cochlear implant meant that now I could actually hear my voice. And so, I know I'm not one of those people that's like talking just to hear my voice.
But I think it'd be okay if you did, because you didn't get to.
That's true. I'm making up for it. But anyway, so like the channel name came along because I was like, okay, how can people be better? Right? How can people be better humans? And at first I was gonna name it How to Human. But then I was like, that's too bossy. That's too much like there is only one way to human. And I was like, there is not. There was many ways. And I was like, oh, there you go. Ways to human. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Cuneiform guy. That's what we call it. I know he's got it. I don't know how to pronounce the word. One day I will. Maybe when I get into Akkadian too. Okay, let's go on. Little kitty going away.
And I think most people's awareness of this is that there's something transcendent, something bigger than them, okay? And any kind of naturalistic explanation is not going to ultimately satisfy that. The other thing is there any reason to believe that there is a transcendent reality, that God exists, that souls exist, that there is an objective morality that guides our life, and if we're living virtuously, that's going to be satisfying even if we don't believe in God or not. Those are the two things at stake here, And now this description, the story of reality I just described that I hold to, it seems to me completely coherent. Maybe not true, but it certainly is coherent that if there is a God who made us for himself and places eternity in our hearts, that we're going to yearn for that and made the way for us to live, and then we're going to find good ways to live as opposed to unsatisfying ways to live. That makes sense.
Well, but we can do that using our own methods that we have to understand what causes harm to other people. I think most of us don't want to cause harm. We want a better world, a better life for ourselves, and having a better life for ourselves means that we also have to make sure everybody around us has that. Like, for example, what we were talking about earlier, the SNAP benefits, right? There are a lot of people that need that because their basic needs are not being met.
Right.
And making sure that children are fed, that mothers are fed, that babies are fed, ensures that our society is happy, healthy, and so can we be. And we don't need a supernatural belief. We don't need a God to put that purpose or that morality upon us. Most of us have a pretty decently developed insular cortex, which is what deals with disgust. It's where our internal built-in moral compass comes from. All right. So it helps you make choices. If you see somebody being hurt, and let's say somebody kicks a puppy, and you're immediately like, that's your insular cortex at work.
Insular
Cortex.
Insular. Okay. All right. Yeah. Insula cortex. Okay.
The insula.
Cool. Yeah, I have forgotten about that structure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a part of the brain that deals with that type of thing. If you're eating, if you don't like fish, the smell of fish or the taste of fish is more than likely because your insular cortex perceives it as disgusting. Yeah. So different people have different things that trigger their insular cortex. So, for example, somebody might be more disgusted. I personally cannot watch movies about gore that have a lot of horror and blood, but I will watch all the medical shows. And I think the difference for me is on one of them, there is harm. And on the other one, there's healing.
Yes.
So the blood is okay with me because they're healing that person on the
Yeah.
medical shows. So I
I'm
think
just
that's
like that. I
yeah,
am just like that.
yeah.
That is
So it's
crazy.
like
I
yeah,
never thought about it though. But yeah, I can't stand the gore. I always think it's like I'm a visual person and I remember every,
yeah.
you
I
know,
can't.
I
Yeah,
can, if you talk about it, I can see it all again. And it's like,
exactly.
can't
Yeah, I
stand it.
just can't. Yeah, if
Yeah.
I watch a movie about something like that, then I know I will have nightmares that night.
Yeah, it's
So I
ridiculous.
just don't.
Not worth it. Not worth it. Yeah, so transcendency is not the problem. Haphazardly attaching names to that transcendency is presumptive. A-
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I think you would, Q&A guy, you would really like to see the whole video of this, because Dr. K, okay, hopefully we'll get to him, I don't know, tonight, but
It's okay. I have
is
time.
talking about okay, good. Is talking about transcendency and it not attached to, a specific religion or a specific God, but like a God
Mhm.
concept in a way.
Interesting.
And that yeah. And I have ideas about this too. So y'all stick around for what I think
Mhm.
about it. So
Okay.
but we're gonna get to more of it first. Isn't it
Mm,
pretty?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Love
All
a
right.
full moon.
If you're a Christian and you say the reason everyone's so depressed is because society has become atheistic, somebody could say, well, yeah, I mean, that might be the case, but that doesn't mean atheism is false. It might be that it is true and just depressing, right? Of course, like the question, if we're discussing,
There are alternate explanations.
if you
of
want to know
reality.
why somebody feels a particular way psychologically, you can offer an explanation which has absolutely nothing to do with the truth or falsity of a worldview. You can then separately discuss the truth or falsity of a worldview, which you've then gone on to do with specific reference to the problem of
You really, it
consciousness.
thinks it has absolutely nothing, or it can be experienced apart from the issue of worldview.
I'm saying that if you're literally just trying, I mean, if the question I'm asked is why do people perceive a lack of meaning in their life, that's just a question about their psychological constitution. That's
Right.
literally a question about why they feel a particular way.
So if a person was a total nihilist,
Yeah.
didn't believe in anything was important, and then they were depressed and even suicidal, would you say there wasn't a link between that worldview and their feelings?
Yes, there is. But what I'm saying is that the link between that worldview and their feeling has nothing to do with the truth of the worldview.
Okay.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like it
Oh,
doesn't.
yeah, I follow
Nihilism
that.
can be true. Nihilism can be false.
Right.
Nihilism can be an unintelligible concept. It can still be the case that that person's conviction is making them depressed.
Agreed.
Right. In the same
Yeah.
way that somebody could be a Christian and that makes them really happy, that doesn't mean Christianity is true. Someone can become a Christian and become really depressed. That doesn't mean that Christianity is false. What I'm trying to point out, it is just trivially true.
All that means is that their neurochemicals are imbalanced.
That is one way to look at it. That is definitely one way. Yeah. So the point he's making, and I think I have more video to kind of show it, because they kind of rehash this a lot in this. Hey Ryan, and Bree's here. Woohoo, Buzz. And Robin, hold on, there she is. Yeah. So the point that Alex is trying to make is that the benefit of Christianity for many people is meaning making, but it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not Christianity is true.
Right. And
Right.
it seemed like Greg, that's the point that he was trying to make, that because atheists are not happy, which I don't know what atheists he is hanging out with, because most of my atheist friends are pretty happy people. Obviously,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're going through stressful situations, nobody's going to be chipper all the time, right?
Right.
And we are being faced with this political nightmare that is making us all feel defeated, learned
Yeah.
hopelessness, right?
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with whether, as Alex said, whether atheism is true or not, or whether out of these atheists who previously were Christians are going to be happy if they become Christians again. Were they happy when they were Christians? Why did they leave Christianity?
Right.
If Christianity is the provider of purpose, meaning, and happiness, then they would have stayed Christian.
Yes, I think so. For a lot of people. I think that what I have found in meeting more and more people, I went to a weekend with recovering from religion, which was really awesome, and I highly recommend that for anybody who might be newly or not. I mean, it's just a really helpful thing. Like if you feel any type of way about your religious experience, and if you're not a believer now, because there's so much religious trauma, and sometimes, you were talking about, like, I didn't really have an angry atheist phase. I just was like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. But but that was just me. But I kind of always have looked at the system, right? Because I've been kind of dealing with feminist theology since college, right? Feeling like that part of the Christian system has been oppressive and, bad for women.
Absolutely.
And trying to reinterpret that, and trying to follow. And so that is something that caused me, a lot of trouble and angst, and and causes many people to have religious trauma in their particular sects of Christianity and Islam and other religions where the religion is used to oppress women.
Quick question for you. Did you, when you mentioned that the education about women's issues regarding Christianity, did you have any sort of formal education in Bible studies, like religious
Yes.
education?
Yeah. Well,
I think I remember you did. Wait.
Yeah. I
Okay.
have. I have a master's of theological studies from Emory, and I focused on ethics in that degree, and anthropology, actually. And then I went to grad school for my PhD at the University of Southern California, but I did everything but my dissertation for that. So I got a master's in religion and ethics, and ended up leaving the program. So maybe one day I'll go back to school, but yeah, so I have like 90 hours of coursework. So in that PhD program. So anyway, yeah. But yeah, but it was in college, where I first started studying religion, and I took like basic Christian ethics, and in that I learned about feminist ethics. And then the next course I took was called Radical Christian Movements, and it was all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's cool. I would love to do a show with you and like talking about the Bible and feminism and how, like, very very specific to women's issues in the Bible. And
Absolutely.
I would love to.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Let's talk about it after.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I still have to learn at least Greek. I'm trying to gonna try and learn Greek in the next couple of years, but because I do want to like do more New Testament stuff. But because I studied ethics, I didn't have to do that. So anyway, so that was fun. But yeah. All right. Let's see where they're going with this. Hey, so cutie. I mean, come on, he's a doll baby.
I want to go back to something you said earlier about
Dr.
cell
K.
phones, and we're scrolling on cell phones and things like that, and we have this like this worldview, and then if we encounter a worldview that is different from ours, that could put us into some form of crisis or difficulty. So that's where like I'm kind of coming from, is that we have this crisis that has a high suicidality, high addiction rates. People left the church in big ways, and then we're sort of left with like, okay, how do we navigate this? And that's where I think if we look at a lot of the influences on society, we see that there's profound neurological influences. And what I sort of found is when I was working, especially with like patients with trauma, that there is a set of things that is happening in the world around them that induce certain changes to how they experience the world. So a really good example of this is, if you want to find your purpose in life, you should reduce your level of alexithymia. So alexithymia is the inability to tell what you're emotionally feeling. And if we look at the influence of things like cell phones, what they're doing is they're suppressing the parts of our brain that experience negative emotions. Sometimes they provoke negative emotions, sometimes they suppress negative emotions. And so if you start to be able to feel more, right? So this is literally shutting down the parts of our brain that give us an internal sense of what we feel. And so as you shut down your ability to detect what you are feeling on the inside, that correlates with your not having a detection of purpose on the inside.
Okay, but that happens whether you are religious or not. This is happening, as he said, because people are using things like technology, doom scrolling, in order to suppress their feelings. In the beginning, I disagree with what he was saying about a crisis of addiction and stuff. I misunderstood what he was saying. I thought he was saying that it was because people live in religion. Did I misunderstand that? Or
I
I
don't.
don't.
Yeah, I don't think he was saying that. I think he was kind of reviewing what they had talked about, and is it because of?
Okay, yeah. Then I connected it that he was talking in general, that we do have a crisis of mental health issues currently, especially anxiety and depression. And what happens in addiction is a trauma response. When as children, I think it's Gabor Mate that talks a lot about this, and it seems to be connected that during the first 3 years of life, the connection that the baby, the toddler makes with the parent is extremely important. And when that connection is not solid, when the child is left to their own devices, not properly taken care of physically and emotionally, the parents are not like mentally available. This causes abandonment type of trauma that stays within your body, within your brain wiring. And so as we grow up, we don't know how to deal with that trauma. And what we do is we cover it up with drugs, with not just specifically he does talk about addictions as far as chemical addictions, right? Like drugs, alcohol, and such. But it can be anything. You can be addicted to anything. And social media is for sure an addiction that people don't realize, because when you think about addiction, again, you just think of drugs.
Right.
You don't think of people having food addictions, sex addictions, porn addictions, social media addictions, shopping addictions, right?
Yeah.
Spending lots
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
You can cover the trauma in so many different ways that we don't even realize.
Right.
And so the problem is not necessarily the technology. That's just what's available right now.
It's a tool, right? It's a tool for deadening the feelings and are not feeling them. Yeah.
And more than likely, if you don't deal with your trauma and you detox from your phone, all you're gonna do is replace it with something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that dopamine need that your brain requires is still
Right.
there. So
Right.
you have to give it something to give you the dopamine.
Right. I mean, this is the other half of my like, Marin's ideas about what humans, and that is we don't want to die and we want to feel better. I mean, that's basically what we want, right? And so if you having a trauma as a child and not knowing how to process that, it's going to get suppressed, right? And you're going to continue to try to suppress it, but as you grow and learn, it's not gonna it's gonna come out some way. And I have an adage about, if you don't deal with your own problems, you force everybody around you to.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
several years ago, I had really bad anxiety and I had panic attacks, and they were mostly related to medical problems that I was having and thinking I'm about to die. It was a pretty real fear because the issues that I was having were definitely life threatening. Some of them were life threatening, but this was during the time that I still believed, and it didn't really seem to help. And I don't know if it has been the whole process of deconverting, doing therapy, taking myself more seriously as far as like, hey, I can do this. I don't need any outside supernatural belief to do the things that I need to do, that I want to do. I'm capable. I can take better care of my health. I found different ways to improve my health. So that has also helped a lot. But I think what a lot of people struggle with is the fact that when they are still religious, very often, is that science provides a really cold and harsh truth, that there is no evidence that there's anything existing outside of birth and death and life, right? Like, okay,
Right.
life,
Right.
obviously, yeah, like what we have here is all we have evidence for. And we haven't found any indication that consciousness can exist outside of the physical brain and
Right.
the processes that lead to us being conscious. There's no leftover of it after in
Right.
any capacity. We do
Right.
know that, what we seem to understand is that consciousness ceases to exist when we die. And so we can sort of see it in dementia patients, for example, people with diseases that where they very, very slowly, there were neural pathways that were created during their whole lives. The memories that were recorded, it all sort of fades,
Right.
weakens, and eventually can completely disappear.
Right.
That person that was there, you don't no longer recognize that person. That's one question that I always ask theists who believe in the soul, right? Like, what exactly happens to somebody who has dementia?
Right.
What is happening to their soul? Like, if they lose all of their memories while they're still alive,
Right.
what does that mean for their afterlife?
Right.
And there's
Yeah.
usually like no answer to that. And I
Right.
think for myself, I don't really find any more comfort in thinking about an afterlife. Like, to me, the only afterlife I can think about is like the sort of world that we leave behind for kids, for their kids and their kids' kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if that's my only purpose, then I'm okay with that. But like, well,
Right.
I don't want to die. Trust me, I don't want to die. But
I
like,
know.
but
That yeah.
but I think we should be more afraid of not doing all of the things that we want to do while we are alive. Sort of
Yeah.
like, don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of not living
Not
while
living.
you're alive.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I find it very fascinating, and we won't get to it because I didn't put it in here, but like the ending of the interview and what Dr. K is kind of talking about is it it oh, he might get close to it. Yeah, he's going to get close to it here. So I won't
Okay, yeah, you can play.
I won't talk too much about it. But the thing that I was going to say is that I've done some shamanic practices. Right, I've done shamanic journeys. So I mean, some people have done like psychedelics, but it's basically, and then you can do psychedelics and go on a shamanic journey, and actually do the drumming and everything too. But that process, it's just like just a different part of your brain, right? Your brain is doing something different. It's I've never been able to meditate, right? I've tried different kinds of things, and it's just like, I can't do it. It's not, and I'm sure if I did a real practice and really, really tried, I might be able to, but shamanic journey, because I'm such a visual person, just listening to the drumming and then just kind of letting my mind go. So, and there is like, you're just kind of moving around in space and seeing different things, and what I'm getting at is that it in a way it does help you see, what's more important and what's not, right? For a lot of people. And it helped me kind of see that, like, to get more to the core of like what's really important to me. And seeing other like beings and having conversations with spirit animals or whatever in that process. I've come to, I think that it's just my brain. It's just my brain doing that, but it's like parts of my brain that don't have, it's not always the frontal parts. It's not the part that has the language,
the decision making, and
right. Yeah. It's just other parts of my brain that like know stuff, but don't have the words to convey it to my conscious self. And so this is a different state of consciousness. I'm not out. I can wake up like that, but yeah, so it's like at first the experience is like you are going someplace, you're going on a trip, right? It is a journey on it, but yeah. And so but it's very kind of fluid. There are, shamans that really do think that they are touching that transcendence. They're it's a different world, and I'm like, yeah, it's just my brain, and
it
you
is.
Say, yeah. So it's kind of a similar experience.
No, it's really fascinating because there is this field of science of neurology called neurotheology, right? And so they study how people from different religions experience their God or all of these different visions and things that Jesus talking to them, Allah communicating with them, etc.
Yeah.
And so there was this really big study that they did with where they were scanning the brains of people who were doing chanting, kind of like the shamans do, who were doing meditation, and who were praying. And all three of them, regardless of their beliefs, were completely different. The exact same parts of the brain were at work. All of the same parts of the brain were lighting up. Exactly. It was really, it's a part of the brain that's involved in pleasure, reward, and addiction.
Fascinating.
So, yeah. So that's why
we'll have to do a whole show about that too.
That's why a lot of people crave that so much. That sort of like prayer or going to service. There's actually people who have OCD, who have religious rituals.
Yeah, scrupulosity even.
Yeah, right. And so that activates that part of the brain because it has to do with, anxieties and pleasures and the addictive pathways. So it's really, really interesting field of study. I would love to learn like a whole lot more about that. I didn't do a deep dive on it, but I did a video like several months ago about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, pretty interesting.
That's cool. Okay, I'll go find that because I'm still catching up on all your videos. And everybody should subscribe to AJ because she's really close to 500 and I'm really close to 500. If you missed that conversation at the beginning. Okay, so now what did he say? The first part he was talking about alexithymia. So, which I find is very interesting. Basically not knowing what you're really feeling about things, not knowing what you really think. And I'm a life coach as well. So like learning what are your core values. If you don't know what you think and know how you really feel and can kind of face some of those things, it's very hard to uncover what is motivating you subconsciously, because something's keeping you, doing certain things rather than other things. And so part of the process I do as a coach is helping people kind of uncover that for themselves. But it is a lot of like recognizing what is going on? Where do you
Right.
feel that in your body? How it, how do you describe that? And it's not just with words, art therapy, that kind of stuff. So anyway, so that was his first thing. He's got another one. So let's see what he says.
Okay.
Happy Halloween.
Another big part is managing your ego. So I think this relationship with God thing is a really, really, really great example of like, if you ask, what is the mechanism of a relationship with God? So we as human beings tend to be like, I'm here. But then as you relate to other people around you, your sense of identity changes. And when you relate to something that is transcendent, I know that that's a scary word and I don't know exactly what that word means, but as you relate to something that is really big up here, that has noticeable effects on your default mode network, your sense of self. And as your default mode network no longer becomes hyperactive, the more hyperactive your default mode network is, the more likely I think you are to be like nihilistic, to have a pessimistic worldview. As we start to make those changes, then people start to feel a sense of purpose. They start to feel a sense of connection. And then the last kind of really interesting data, which we can go into, is psychedelics, which is really, really fascinating because this allows us to test subjective experience and the effect of subjective experience on a person.
I will say that nihilistic doesn't mean pessimistic. It doesn't have to mean pessimistic.
Exactly. So explain what you mean.
For Falcott is a nihilist and a self-admitted nihilist.
Never had a bad day.
Oh yeah, never. And exactly, and he's never had a bad day. He's a great guy. Like you meet him in person, and he's the same chipper guy that you see on screen. He's a little neurodivergent, so he needs his recharge time.
Yeah,
which is fine. But like he's, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like I've seen him interacting even with my teenager, and you can tell he's a teacher of young children.
Yeah.
Not young children. I'm sorry, young adults. I meant to say, teenagers. Like he's amazing at communicating with people, and he's so passionate. If you bring up biology, that boy can talk. That boy can talk.
Yeah.
and
Totally.
and he is so excited about it. Just the way I'm so excited to talk about the brain. All right, I'm the same way about the brain.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like over here, like heck yeah. And
Yeah.
I would say I am a nihilist in the sense that I don't think we are here for any specific purpose. Just like people don't think monkeys or hyenas are here for any specific purpose.
Right.
So it's like
we're just another animal on the planet. Yeah.
Right. We are just here, and we are extremely lucky, and that's what gives me that joy of I don't know exactly what the chances are of me being here, but I am. And so like why not enjoy it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, come on, Ember. We gotta bring out more of those.
That's perfect.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah.
That's the best pun, Ember.
That's great. Oh my gosh, she is so clever. There's like so many clever people in the chat, by the way. I just have to, I'm so excited that y'all are here. Thank you. Okay. Let's see how they respond to this. I can't even remember.
Bree says she is a pragmatic, but are you a pragmatic crystal?
I know, right?
There's crazy. Only one pragmatic crystal.
Yeah, and she is omnipresent.
Right, in all the places, in all the streams, doing her thing.
It is awesome. He's gonna do it again. Okay, how many times? I don't know. I guess I should have made this one shorter.
Is this opportunity?
Please.
I'm just concerned that you might have overstated something. Maybe.
Okay. Can I just say, when you go and watch this whole thing, Dr. K has just said really cool things about how to address the lack of meaning and lack of purpose in life, right?
Yeah, and giving a good explanation of how it works and stuff.
And instead of addressing that, Greg jumps back in with like, I'm still gonna make my case again about why Christianity is true.
Oh goodness.
That's what he's gonna do. I was like, okay, anyway, I'm just gonna let him rant a little bit here, but I was just like,
Like that is not what we're talking about. Yeah.
And the guy is like,
it's more
he's
preaching,
he's
I guess.
yeah, but Dr. K, he spent 7 years in a monastery learning about everything, and then as a psychiatrist that worked at Harvard. I mean, I know he's got this fella's address. I don't know other way
Yeah.
to say it. He knows where he's coming from.
Reflecting back
Anyway, I just
something
thought it
you
was
thought I was saying, and I was making the case about the genetic fallacy, because I think just like your friend Stephen, who in Dubai all of a sudden became a Christian, everything changed. Okay. Well, I guess you could say the change of life isn't maybe knock down, drag down proof that what he believes now is actually true. But I'm thinking about the experience now with God that he's having. If he's having this changed life, this is evidential. This lends credibility to the belief system that he's now adopted, because it created this particular significant change in his life. It may not be proof, and that word is really an loosey-goosey word, just how to pin down. But nevertheless, it still seems to be evidential. It speaks to the legitimacy and accuracy and truthfulness of the belief system that produced this changed life. That's what I'm saying.
okay. Before Alex responds, I wanted you to.
Yeah, because I had a response to that, because I'm thinking, just as I mentioned not long ago, about how my life has changed since coming into the atheist and humanist community. So what he's saying is that my case is evidence for atheism, that atheism is true because it changed my life in such a positive way that now I'm happier, more confident, more outspoken, and comfortable in my own skin. That does that mean atheism is true? I can't even say atheism is true, right? Like
Right.
I have enough. I don't have enough evidence to believe, or that leads me to believe in any God, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
it's a
it
little bit of
does.
confusing how somebody becoming a Christian and having a better life means that Christianity is true. One could argue that their improvement in life isn't necessarily because they became a Christian. Simply, it improved because they changed some of their behavior. I don't know exactly what the case of this person was,
Yeah.
what was making their life so bad that it became so much better when they became a Christian. But I can assume that their life was unfulfilling before, and now it became more fulfilling, and they believe it to be thanks to Christianity.
Yeah.
Which is something you see often when people use Christianity to beat addiction. They don't give
Right.
themselves enough credit for the work that they did. They
Yeah.
put it all on Jesus or God having done all the work, and then just being the vessel
Yeah.
that God put the work through or something.
Yeah.
But none
Yeah.
of that means either of them are true.
Right. Right. And they go back and forth on this a lot. I don't know how much of it I've left in here, which is fine. We can watch it and discuss that. But
Okay.
but yeah, it's a different thing, and they don't let him get away with it though. So let's see what they
Yeah, Amber says she
say.
doesn't think that it's coherent to say atheism is true. Yeah, that's right. Like I could say, yeah, this is evidence because my life is better. But to me it's not. I cannot say that atheism is true. I can
Right.
just say that it works for me right now. Maybe I'll
Right.
change my mind someday. Maybe somebody will convert me back to Christianity. I'm open to any of the options. I don't think it will happen given where
Yeah.
I'm at, but you never know.
You never know. Right. And open to that, right? It's non-resistant, non-believer, right? Yeah. If whatever's true, that's what I'm looking for, right? Is what's true. And so I can't stay in something that I don't think is true. So
It's only evidence that belief in that thing makes someone feel more fulfilled. That's the only thing it's evidence of.
Okay, so this is where we differ. Just like,
I'm with him on this one.
okay,
we'll go on with this. This is hurting. I don't know why, if I've got it in the wrong ear or not. Anyway, isn't that cute? Yeah, it's like, I'm with him.
Cute.
I will make these shorter next time. But I mean, y'all can fast forward through when you're watching the replay. Okay, this one is really long. I didn't know that.
I see. Okay, I think it's stopping. There you go.
Greg, I've got a good way of
Right.
coming at this then. So
and
if,
this is where we differ.
That's right.
if I had 5 friends and they all picked 5 different religions and they all felt the same thing that my friend did in Dubai, where they all felt better for it, is that evidential that all 5 religions are true?
Well, see, I don't actually think it works that way. You can speculate and say and offer that illustration, but I don't think it actually works that way. I think that universally the experience of Christians is very, very quantifiable
So in that
terms of
scenario-
transformed lives. And this is one of the reasons that these transformed lives lend credibility to the belief system itself.
So in that scenario where one of my friends turns to Islam, one of my friends turns to Christianity, etc., the only experience that's evidential of truth is the Christians.
Well, I think you have to look at every individual thing, all right? And
That's not what you
here's
just
my
said.
suspicion, and I haven't quantified this across the board, all right? Different people have different experiences by engaging different religious belief traditions, whatever. But insofar as anybody's life is significantly altered by that thing, this to me is evidence that something is going on here than merely the belief. If it's just the belief, you're back to Marx again and the opiate of the people. That would be Karl, not Groucho, although it's not clear that anybody knows who those two people are anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they call him on it. That
He
it
was
just-
contradicting himself constantly. First, your friend turned to Christianity, therefore Christianity felt better, therefore Christianity is true. Then, well, if 5 people do the same thing with 5 different religions, then no, it doesn't work that way.
and how does
And
it
then
work?
back to, well, yeah, only works in Christianity. That is really, really dishonest way to look at it.
It's
Like he's
it's a-
not really
it's
analyzing
special.
it.
I could be wrong. I'm not a philosopher, but it seems like special pleading for Christianity.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't. It's like it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Well, why not? But he couldn't explain that. He kind of went into,
Ramble.
that's why. Yeah, and that's why I had to put a long thing of him talking about it, because it's like it's still not.
Because he is not grasping that other part of, okay, if a Christian, if 2 atheists become one a Christian and one a Muslim, and they both have really extreme improvement in their lives, then how come only the Christian one indicates that Christianity is true, but the Muslim one doesn't indicate that Islam is true? Right?
Right.
To me, neither of those indicate truth.
Right.
It's
Right.
kind of like
it's
placebo effect for me.
right. It's exactly what Alex was saying in the very first part. But see that there's a lot of conversation about this particular part, because but what Alex was saying is that it's not, it speaks to the benefit of the belief, but not the truth of it.
Yeah. And we cannot
that-
say that there are 0 benefits to religion. Okay. It gives people comfort. It gives some people meaning. It gives some people purpose. It keeps some people from doing bad things. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge that it's very harmful. What is that conversation? Oh, that must be why we have the Gregorian calendar.
Gregorian. And then Greg.
Go ahead.
But yeah. But he can't see that perspective as that special.
Yeah.
That special.
I will go as far as to say, just because religion is harmful because Christianity or Islam are harmful says absolutely nothing about whether they're true or not.
True. That is correct.
It goes
I
both
agree.
ways.
It
Benefits
does.
or harms proves nothing about their legitimacy.
That is. I haven't really thought of it like that. I appreciate that. That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
obviously we talk a lot against religion and the harms of it, but we cannot say that it is untrue simply because of that. Like we find other ways, other things that don't make sense to us that we can say, hey, I don't think that this is factual because XYZ. We could provide evidence for that part. Feelings are not evidence. So feeling that something is beneficial, feeling that something is harmful, lends absolutely nothing to their whether they're objectively true or not. True or
Yeah.
not.
Absolutely. Very true. Okay, Ember, you got to come up. Will you please come on and talk with me about the rest of this? We'll look at more of this video together. I haven't read his book. You actually could get through it. That's that's me and me. Okay, I'm sorry. But he has a, okay, she's like, Ember says that Greg sees his special pleading. How to mask your use of special pleading is a whole chapter in his book.
I'm sure.
Wow. Okay. Hey, Kip, how are you?
Hey,
Yep, that is true.
feelings are useful. Yeah, feelings are useful. I agree with that.
Yep. Alrighty, let's see. I think we just go on from here. I'm not sure. That's kind of creepy. Happy Halloween again.
It sounds as though, if I lied to somebody in a cruel prank and I told them that, say they're really struggling with money, they're really, really suffering for it, and they have these psychological effects of feeling that life is meaningless, they want to kill themselves, whatever it is, they just cannot keep living. And I tell them, good news, you've won the lottery, you've won £1 million, and suddenly the weight is lifted, the joy is brought. Of course, money isn't sufficient for bringing about meaning in life, but this person is. But I've lied to them. Like the fact that they feel this immense sense of meaning from a belief that they've adopted bears absolutely no evidence.
No, in that case,
on whether
you're
it's
right.
true that they've won £1 million.
All right, I need you to respond to this because I totally didn't pay attention to it. It's responding.
Well, he was talking about how things can change for somebody when they become a believer, and how that has no bearing on the truth as well.
Okay.
So like what he was trying to say is, I think what he was trying to say is that when you become a believer, there can be things that set of beliefs brings into your life that is beneficial. And at the same time, let's say you are struggling really, really badly financially, and something completely unrelated to your faith comes along. I don't know, you get a better job, you get a raise in the same job that you had, you win the lottery. You are going to immediately assume that this happened because you became a believer. And so you are going to put that on God and say, my life improved. Look at that. As soon as I became a believer, I got that raise, I got that new job, I won the lottery.
Mhm,
Therefore,
mhm.
God. That's the God of
Yeah.
the gaps right there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that that's
what he
part
was
of the
saying.
human experience of storytelling, that if and we talked about that when I was on your channel about, we have to make sense of what our sense, what we take in with our senses. That's how we
Yeah.
were talking about it. But we have to make sense of things. So we'll tell ourselves those stories. So we'll make connections that aren't really there. They just are coincidence, but we forget the things that don't mesh, that aren't coincidences, that are, serendipitous, but the
Yeah.
ones that just happen to fit with what's happening to us like that. Yeah. Yes, cuneiform guy. This is the I saw Apologia, and I was like, okay, and I didn't finish. Okay, cool. Okay, thanks. All right, Ember, we gotta make a date. Let's go on. Oh, those are cool, aren't they?
I'm just saying that to divorce all results from belief systems is a mistake.
Oh, I
because
don't wanna
think
do
there
that.
can be a connection
There
there.
could
And
be
just
something
because you
about-
can mislead somebody by telling them a lie and they can experience something emotionally doesn't mean that the other person who's experiencing something transcendent in their emotions. And by the way, for Christians, it's not just a high, because Christianity is not a
Of course.
continuous high.
Mm.
Even people who are suffering terribly as Christians in persecution, read Fox's Book of Martyrs, still have this strong sense of value, purpose, and security, even so. I'm just saying there's an evidential relationship between those. It's not enough to just simply dismiss it because you can tell a lie and someone could have the same
I'm
kind of feeling.
even happy to say that, like, I don't know if this is true, but suppose it were just the case that only Christianity brought about this positive effect. Suppose we just discovered that everybody who claimed to feel meaning, it just didn't compare.
That's not what I'm saying.
But suppose that were the case. Even if there was something really special about Christianity that gave some evidential credence to something specific about Christianity, that's true about Christianity, that it particularly infuses life with meaning, I still think it just has nothing to do with the truth of Christianity as a worldview.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Nothing that has been said so far by Greg or anybody else on that show shows anything about the truth of Christianity.
Right. And but it makes sense that he would do what he can to try and defend
That
that
position. Yeah.
Christianity does provide meaning, because the whole show is about, how to find meaning, how to find purpose, and that is his whole focus. So I mean, I understand what he's doing, and I understand why, and for him it has obviously done that. I mean, I never found that. I mean, and I think there are so many people that don't. It's just like, how God isn't talking to me, so how do I figure out what's going on here? Right? So I think
Yeah,
that
like you end up more questioning than anything, like doubting yourself because you cannot find it.
what's wrong with me, and I think that was the thing for me. This was hardest about Christianity, is like, I must not be doing something right. What is wrong with me? Why am I not getting the answers? Why am I not,
Right.
what am I doing? Like, oh, I haven't done this, and that shame part, that you were talking about. But I thought that Alex's point of view was like the very positive of what you were saying, that even if Christianity, right, we're absolutely wonderful, right, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, just like the negative parts of it.
Yeah, and I think Greg was just trying to make the point that Christianity is the only acceptable objective provider of meaning and purpose. And clearly by the people that you and I engage with constantly, we see that that's not the case. Case in
true.
point, when we went to NanoCon, oh gosh, that was such an amazing experience. And I
Yes.
think everybody left their feeling so empowered, so positive, filled with like
Connected,
goals. And yeah,
peaceful.
yeah. I loved it so much. I can't
Yeah.
wait for the next one. And I mean,
Yeah.
I had a family member who is a Christian who came with us, and he loved it. He really enjoyed the Godless Gospel.
Oh, I know, aren't they
Uh,
great?
oh gosh, they were amazing. Cynthia has
Yeah.
such a voice.
Yeah.
Mandisa too. Like I love
And
them.
Lisa
Oh,
too.
so
All
good,
of
so
them.
good.
Yeah.
And he was like, I had goosebumps, and that was like a godless gospel, right?
Right.
And
Right.
for
It's
a
awesome.
Christian to be able to enjoy that, like it's all about like the being around that sort of supportive community, people um that you don't need any specific thing to unite you, because this was
Mhm.
a non-believers conference. It wasn't
Right.
specific to atheism, it
Right.
wasn't specific to humanism, and it wasn't specific to secularism. It was sort
It's
of like
just
all of them joined up.
exactly.
All you had, well, honestly, you didn't even have to be a
There
non-believer.
were
Like I said,
Christians
we
there.
had a
Exactly. Yeah.
Christian, yeah, and April A. Joy
April Joy.
and
April A.
her
Joy
whole
was
family. Like
yeah.
my kid hung out with April's partner and their daughters, amazing people. Like they hung
Yeah.
out at the pool the whole day
It's so cool.
and they had a blast. So it's like you don't
Yeah.
even have to be a non-believer to be part of that community. She's super good friends with Seth Andrews. They do
Yeah.
videos together all the time. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool experience
Yeah.
to
Yeah. I
just be
can't
able to
wait to go back.
find, yeah, to like just find your own purpose, your own meaning, your own goals that you set for yourself, and you don't need any type of supernatural belief for that.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
Dr. Kip,
Kip.
I might have to start a rule on my channel because I see you doing this and everybody else's. But if you're going to talk about food, you have to be willing to share it. Okay? I'm just saying. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to talk about it, he's
We're-
always coming to talk about what he's eating. I'm like, oh man, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, it's been so hot around here. Even today was really warm, but now a cold front came through, and tomorrow is gonna be like in the 40s for the
Yeah.
low, and I'm so excited.
Oh,
to
no,
have
it's
some
not
kind of
fun. I
soup.
have it right now. I have to go get it. This is what I'm saying.
Where are you at? Where
I
are you
need the
at?
Willy Wonka TV where I could just like get it out of the
We
TV.
need Dr. Gibbs' address so we can go steal some clam
There we
chowder.
go. There we go. All right. You might be
Just-
sorry you invited me.
Yeah, we drive by with our little bowls and like
Yeah. And I want some nachos with it too, by the way, because that's the other thing that he's always
it's really-
okay. Come on. Oh man, this
I mean,
one.
Christianity hinges on the historical fact of the resurrection
That's
of Jesus,
absolutely
right?
correct.
And so the best way of explaining this is to say that if your friend from Dubai starts going to church and they start feeling really like meaning, like start experiencing a lot of meaning in their life, that has absolutely no evidential bearing on whether Jesus rose from the dead. And if Christianity as a proposition essentially is the resurrection of Jesus, and this feeling that your friend had has no evidential bearing on the resurrection of Jesus, then the feeling that your friend had no evidential bearing on
Well,
Christianity.
it turns out that Christianity has multiple factors of support and evidence. Crucial, obviously, the crux, one might say, is the resurrection of Christ, the death and resurrection, because of the theological significance of that is in the whole system, all right? But there are lots of other things, too, that have bearing. And actually, I think there are people who have become Christians without having a robust understanding even of the
Yes.
resurrection or that. So even though theologically that is the crux, I
Crucially
agree.
true, yeah.
It doesn't mean that for subjectively every person who enters in a relationship with Christ has all of that in place.
All right. So that guy means that this is the end of the
Okay.
end of the video.
So
Yeah.
I do agree with what he's saying, that it's not necessarily the end all be all of belief that you know is the only reason why one could believe that Christianity is true. However, it is one of the most important ones, especially for Christianity, not for Catholicism, right? For Catholicism, they go by both testaments, sort of more so the newer than the Old Testament.
Yeah.
But the majority of Christians go by the New Testament because of the new covenant, with Jesus being at the center of it. And if you ask a lot of today's Christians, they put a lot more weight on Jesus than they do on God, because God is not the even though people talk a lot about God's nature being, forgiving and merciful and kind, the evidence shows otherwise in the Old Testament. And so people have to put more weight on Jesus, because Jesus was supposedly the one that made things a lot smoother, a lot nicer, not so genocidal and such, and slavery
Right.
based.
Right.
So-
Right. Jesus is love. Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Even
right,
though
right.
he's the one who talks about hell the most, but we'll go past that. But what they're talking,
Okay.
so yeah, so I've just felt like this section, especially, this is kind of like in the middle of this interview with
Uh-huh.
these guys, would bring out a lot of things for us to talk about. And I mean, there's so much more. And again, Paula Gia did a video just on the apologist reaction, basically, to, or Greg's reaction, to, and I haven't watched all of that, because as soon as I started watching, I was like, oh, we should do this. We should do this, and went and watch that. But I do recommend going to see the Diary of a CEO. I'll put the link in the chat about it. But I mean, not in the chat, but in the
Description.
description. Yep. There we go. But there's a lot of other things that they talk about, and I hate that there wasn't more of Dr. K in this video, because I think he had a lot of really helpful things to say. And there was one other point. Okay. So the point that I was going to say about the and Dr. K talked about this, about like a connection to something bigger than ourselves, something transcendent, something else, outside of us. He didn't say it like that, but because he's like, what is really transcendent?
Yeah, it was sort of like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I could be wrong, but right now, what I'm thinking is that I keep going back to John Wathy's books, The Illusion of God's Presence and The Phantom God, and that our infant, we're all infants, and we all have an innate sense as an infant, as part of survival, that there's something out there that's going to take care of us, and we can, if we cry, we get a response, and we get taken care of, and that and making that connection, that connection is so important, that infants that don't have that kind of connection either perish, or they have serious psychological problems, and cannot bond with anybody.
yeah, as I
So,
mentioned earlier, Gabor Mate talks a lot about that very early age, before we even begin to set memories,
yes,
where
exactly.
the trauma is still physically, like, okay, not outwardly physical, but internally physically there. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't go away just because you don't remember it. It's still there, and it's the way that it wires our brain for our future behavior. And addiction is one of those things. And
Yeah.
religion can become sort of an addiction for people. If you see people who are really, really struggling and they become religious, it often so happens what Greg was, I'm sorry, what Stephen, was it Stephen?
Stephen, yeah.
Okay, that was describing his friend going into Christianity and his life became way better.
Yeah.
It's because it fills that gap of abandonment as a child, and it feels that need for protection. It feels that need for not having to take accountability for your own actions and having somebody else to put them on. The good
Yeah.
actions you can put on God. The bad actions you can put on temptation from the devil, right? So
Right.
you have both of
Right.
those things, where it is satisfying a psychological need ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a little bit too what I was referring to about like giving up my power, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Kip. I did. I got him out. I meant to make Aunt Jera give her a wrench too, but I didn't do that. So, okay. Yeah. I deleted a couple, but all right. So, but giving up my power to like do good things, right? It's it's all because of God, all because of God, and anything bad is because of me, but also because of the devil, right? So you can kind of like, well, I must have been tempted, and now and it's this battle of and that to me feels so schizophrenic, you know, with that battle, right, between good and evil within my own person,
Yeah.
and always not knowing for sure, is that just my brain, or is that actually God, or is that actually, so anyway, I just feel like,
Yeah, I had a conversation once with somebody. We were talking about the value of the Ten Commandments. And they were basically saying that because of the Ten Commandments, that's what led to their own morality. And so for me, that's a little bit concerning because, for example, thou shalt not kill. Does that mean that if you didn't have God's commandment to not kill, that you will feel okay with killing? I'm an atheist and I don't believe in any gods, and I've killed as many people as I want to kill, which is 0. Because I don't want to kill anybody.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah, yeah. I'll just say yeah. And also, cuneiform God, Christians love to hate Satan. It's really strange to me that they need to promote a bad guy. But I feel like some of it is to be able to put any negative thoughts, any negative emotions, any emotions or actions, to not take that responsibility, for when doing something wrong. So I think that is that part
And
of it. So
we shouldn't be afraid to have, as I mentioned earlier, struggled with thinking bad thoughts, right? When I was a Christian, and so we
yeah,
shouldn't fear. We shouldn't fear or thinking.
yeah,
Obviously, if you have a very very serious mental health condition to where you're like, I don't know, seeing hallucinations or hearing voices, definitely get it taken care of.
right.
But as a relatively healthy individual, you shouldn't be afraid of having bad thoughts, of being like, oh my god, I'm gonna kill you, whatever. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe
Mine
maybe
is
not oh my god. Okay, maybe like oh my gosh.
oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Mine is I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid I'm going to jump. And it's
Yeah,
just
same.
right. And it's like, but I'm not afraid of that. It's just that, and I know I'm not the only person on the planet who like gets into like really high stairs. And it's like, I'm not afraid of falling. I'm afraid I'm just going to be like, my ADHD, right, is just going to go take over. So yeah. So, but or like, but I struggle. I've struggled with depression, my entire life, but more so when I was trying to figure things out and trying to find my purpose and trying to find my meaning, and all that, and all the shame that came with Christianity, and not being good enough, and being a Southern girl and not being a good enough Southern girl, and all that. So I mean, I totally get what you're saying. I think the last thing that I wanted to just to kind of come back around to, like, putting my little period at the end of this sentence is
He's back.
that infant, that just kind of talking about that connection to transcendence that we're talking about, like those very core experiences of when we are infants and we don't have control over the world, and that when we do feel most out of control. Seriously, I
He's
thought that
back.
was like, oh, I should have banned. Okay, look, dude, no caps. First of all, and second of all, like, cool
Oh
it.
wait, hold up.
What? Oh,
What did that say? Because who the fuck is that anyway? He was
he's a
like that
troll.
lady. Yeah, no, but he knows me. He knows me.
Oh, I totally banned him, but I don't
No,
know.
you're good. You're fine.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's
we'll
watching.
watch the recording back, and you'll see what it says. Like, when
Yeah,
we end, yeah.
because he's like that lady talking. She's a liar. Blah blah blah. I don't care. But he's like she's
Oh, maybe.
blind and deaf, which I
Oh,
am. So like it makes me think like he follows me or something. Okay, I don't.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. Oh, you. It's not the kind of
I
family
hate
you really
it.
want, though.
Hey,
is it?
dude,
Uh,
you're if you're still watching, your God created me blind and deaf. Why did he do that?
yeah. Why do you do that? He. Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Anyway,
I've embraced it. So
yeah. 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 Whatever.
anyways, I'm
So
sorry.
yeah. Okay.
That
So all I
sidetracked
was
your
saying.
thinking.
Yeah, I did. I timed him out, and that's why he came back, and now I banned him. So thank you very much. And I haven't been around as many years as y'all, so I appreciate your input on that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But that core need of trusting
Something about
something bigger than us, and it brings that infantile comfort.
the safety. Yeah, that
Yeah,
safety that
yeah,
we all
yeah.
need.
Exactly. And it's one of the, it's one of the reasons that, rocking can help,
Mhm.
so because it just brings back that whole brain state, so
That's interesting because I mean that's something that Muslims do, right? While they pray, they rock while they pray. Uh,
exactly.
so yeah, it
Yeah.
does feel a psychological need that we have for being
Yeah.
protected and being parented,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that connection.
And John Wathy also talks of wait, Wathy. I'm sorry, I always say it wrong. Wathy. Like evangelicals that are, putting up praise hands, that's like an infant reaching up for a parent. So it's kind of, yeah. So I'm leaning a lot now. I could be wrong, but where I am right now is I'm leaning a lot more towards that, and it's kind of how I started with this. Talking about we're animals on the planet like other animals on the planet, and a lot of times we forget that, and we try to forget that, and it speaks also to your sometimes your brain just has thoughts. Well, yeah, because your brain is always trying to make sense of stuff and tell stories to like make sense of the world, because the better that humans do that, the better they survive. So that's good. And it's, yeah, so I think it's a combination of a whole lot of things, but just being able to recognize when you have a thought or have that or a feeling is triggered, right? That you don't have to respond to it, but it is information. It's not good
Yeah.
or bad. It's not moral or immoral. It's information. And it could just be, creative. I'm very creative. That is why did I just think of a dinosaur with wings? I don't know. It's interesting. Oh, hey, is that a dragon? Yeah. Okay. But right. So that's just creativity, or it's information about, oh, I must be feeling some kind of way. There may be a reason for it, or it may just be that this situation I'm in reminds me of a trauma in my life, and I may not even remember what that is. So there's a lot. So, oh, here we go. I want to read this. Well, there's a theory about that, the neotinized ape theory, where humans hold on to their childhood longer than other apes. Yeah. Yeah, and the infant, and that's one reason I didn't really like Freud with it in infantilism, so it can be a little bit really, but I don't think we ever leave our infant behind. It's with us, like, we're the same person we were when we were born, and we bring that brain with us, and we don't always know when it might be responding. That was the other thing we talked about, is like I don't think the brain really has a sense of time, just generally. There is a part of your brain that helps you sense time. I don't always sense it very well, but as far as the emotional parts, that don't necessarily have language, they don't necessarily have logic or sequencing, and so this time can be anytime. So
yeah, for
all of a
sure.
sudden I'm 3 years old again, if my brothers tease me, right, and make fun of me, I can feel really like, 11 again. Right. And it's like, wait a minute. Why are you
Yeah,
doing
like
this? We're all old now. What's going on? Yeah.
but it's kind of just like the way when you're sleeping and you're dreaming, right? And a present situation puts itself into your dreams, right? Because we process memories as
Right.
we sleep. And so the more recent ones are more likely to show up in your dreams. But all of a sudden, you're in your high school again as an adult that you are right now. It's
Yeah.
completely mixed up. And
Yeah.
just the way it can happen when you're sleeping, it can happen when you're awake. So
That's
that
it.
fear of heights and that you're afraid of jumping, it could be like a memory, or it could be a memory of a movie, of an audiobook that you read. It can be a completely random thing that just pops up
Yeah.
into your mind.
Yeah.
And it's really positive to recognize that the majority, if not all of our experiences, are brain processes.
Yeah.
Love,
Yeah.
love is
Yeah.
a brain process. It's
Right.
just neurochemicals flying around that make you feel a specific way about this person that you're with.
Right.
That's why they say love can what's the word? I forgot what exact words they use, but basically, you can grow in love. Like you don't have to be in love with a person um, automatically in order to become in love with them. That you
Yeah.
sort of practice that. You
Yeah.
practice that neural connection of
Yeah.
falling in love with them. But there are some people that you just automatically fall in love with because they may have something that your
Yeah.
brain recognizes
Recognizes. Yeah.
as safe or as desirable, that it increases your dopamine, increases your serotonin, increases your oxytocin,
Mm-hmm.
all of these, bonding, pleasurable, joyful neurochemicals come out
Right.
when you are in the presence or when you talk to this person, when you hear their voice. There's something happening in your brain. Love is not supernatural. um
Right.
Prayer, same thing with prayer. Prayer is not supernatural. It's a brain process that brings your brain some sort of relief, some sort of pleasure. It fills that gap of addictive behavior. Like
Yeah.
you don't, and again, as we mentioned earlier, you don't need to have any type of supernatural believe in any god in order to give meaning and purpose to your life. You can make decisions that improve your life, or not necessarily like financially or anything like that, okay? Because we all struggle in those senses. I am not a rich person. Definitely, we're like
Yeah.
living paycheck to paycheck, but I feel like I have purpose, I have meaning, I feel happy. um I'm way more comfortable than I've ever been in my own skin.
Yeah.
And that came from humanism. It didn't come from God.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love Joan Baez, so just gonna say that.
beautiful lady.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we could talk for 2 more hours, but
Oh yeah.
maybe we should wrap up.
Okay. Yeah.
No, it's all good. Thank you so much. This is good. And like I said, I highly recommend going to see the whole video. It's really, really
Yeah.
cool. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the parts that we watched. So I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, alrighty. Well, thank you so much for everybody for coming in, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks. I'm doing lives every other Tuesday right now, so don't put me on
Should
your
be fun.
calendar. Yeah, ring the
Okay.
bell, subscribe, all the things. Go subscribe to AJ. We're trying to push the 500. My goal is to have, well, hopefully before that, but by January, my goal is to have at least 500 subscribers. So I hope you guys can help me. Okay.
I think we can do it.
I think we can do it. I think so. All right. Y'all take care. And I forgot how to get out of here. Oh, yeah. You have to end the stream twice. Y'all take care. Thanks for being here.